We're here at the National Kit Car Show at the Three Counties Showground near Malvern, which is the world's largest gathering of kit car manufacturers and also kit cars of all sorts out in the club area outside. And we're going to show you that cars like GT40s and AC Cobras are possibly a lot more obtainable than you would expect them to be. And what we're going to do is take a quick tour around the show, and for that I needed an expert, and I found the best one I could ever get. It is Steve Hole of Total Kit Car magazine.
I am he. Expert. They couldn't find one, so they got me.
Steve is knocking himself back here. He's been a kit car journalist for nearly 40 years, and what he doesn't know about kit cars, you can write on the back of a postage stamp. So keep watching, this is going to be really good. As I said, this is the biggest gathering of kit car manufacturers and clubs in the world. And what we wanted to cover first is, and Steve, you're the expert on this because you've been around for, I was going to say a long time, but for a while.
Long time.
It's that the kit car industry isn't possibly what people out there perceive it is, because in the past it's maybe not been quite the quality that it is now.
Changed massively, absolutely massively. Back in the day you could only buy kit cars in kit form, hence the name, but now you can buy them in rolling chassis form, turnkey form, whatever you want. Most manufacturers will cater for your requirements, really. The introduction of IVA, or SVA as it was, but IVA has also improved standards a lot, because all cars have to meet certain compliant C.
And the other thing is, I think, you know, perception possibly from kit cars in the 70s and 80s, it was a way of using some scrap components, and that's really not the case now, because the cars here, I think in every case, are using top-end components to put their
top end of the market for sure. Top end of the market are using brand new off the shelf. You don't need a donor per se. The more budget end of the market though, we're still a great recycling industry.
Yep.
Because lots of parts are recycled, but they're reconditioned and we're reusing. It's green as far as I'm concerned.
So first company we've got here is XCS Designs. Yep. They do a Cobra based car, or Cobra style car I should say, and they also do a 7 style car, the Dieci, because everyone thinks of Caterham style cars as being rear wheel drive, but that's actually 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, 4-wheel drive.
Which is a whole...
different ball game. And of course you can put a whole multitude of engines in that, and it's a bigger, for the bigger bear, it's wider, longer, and a lot more space in that. And you can fit all sorts of engines in that. All sorts of engines. And
just for everybody screams in the comments, the one that's there at the moment, I don't think is 4-wheel drive, because I can't see any drive shaft, but that is definitely an option on that one.
Definitely. Which,
I'm not sure it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think
it's a good thing to have. I don't know if it's a particular selling point for a kit car, to be quite truthful. It might be. But time will tell.
But again, it's
a great car as it is. Really.
It is. But the other great thing about that is, if that's what you want, you can get it, which is the struggle.
Exactly that.
And of course, with these guys, is we touched on a few moments ago, is the Cobra range, which is
absolutely
a pretty well established design.
It's a great, obviously they look like Cobras because you're working within the same outline. However, these guys are taking things a little bit further and are doing things a little bit, well, their own interpretation of what they want to do. So this one's got, I'm not sure if we've got one here, but you can get one of their models, it's got like exoskeletal almost. So some of the chassis rails come through into the cockpit. This one over here, it's got like Lotus, I think a Lotus Elise base seats.
Oh, okay.
Rather than the typical, well, I think, that one has too. Rather than a typical Cobra style seat, you can have something like that, which I think is very comfortable.
Which again is that great thing, you can tailor everything to exactly what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And they've also catered for taller people with their long wheelbase version. Yeah. Which, off the top of my head, I can't remember how much has been put into the chassis, but it's obviously, you can tell, it still looks very cohesive, but if you look at it compared with their standard models, it's clearly longer, and that's obviously a selling point for people of a 6'6" and above.
Yeah, which, as I mentioned, that's not something that's ever changed.
No.
Right, let's head on this way.
Yeah.
We will have a look at Tornado, and...
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Now, Tornado is... They've been around almost as long as you have in the industry, haven't they?
Longer.
I
would say there's two companies that have been in the same ownership that are competing for the #1 longevity slot. Auto Tune.
Oh yeah.
Who might just top them by a year or 6 months. But Andrew's been around since 1981, 82. So he started off making McLaren M6 replicas. But now he's been making this for, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
And again,
doesn't get much better.
Hello, Steve.
Oh, we're videoing.
I'll catch you later. I'll see you later.
Oh, you're right.
I'm selling.
No! What's fund your new one?
and it shows just how much a small niche industry this is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But again, this is not just a steel space frame type chassis.
Oh, no.
They've got the full honeycomb.
That's a proper monocoque.
Yeah.
And what Andrew doesn't, it's very unusual to see him at shows. I think he only does this one, based in Kidderminster, and he likes to sort of, he does advertise, but he's got a very discerning level of customer. But the stuff he's making, look at the quality of that.
Yeah.
I mean, as you say, that's honeycomb. Proper. He was the first one to use a Ford Coyote V8 in the UK. First one to do so.
And again, that's a good point you make there, is because a lot of these cars, you can get cars built to how they were originally, but also there's the opportunity to make these cars a modern version of the original.
We've just done an interesting feature in the magazine on, it was a KVA that stood unused for 25 years. The customer has now turned it into Tornado, but he's used a John Player special Lotus colour, synonymous with Lotus, on a GT40. Lots of people don't like it, lots of people like it, he loves it. And it's what you want it to be, it's whatever you want it to be. And this is an example of some of the materials he's using down there.
So if we go straight on, Steve, we've got Mev here, which I think we could, fair to say, is one of the, probably the leading entry-level
Definitely, and probably in terms of volume, the biggest seller at the moment. Yeah.
And because the great thing is, two cars, both Mazda based. Either you've got the MX-5 or the RX-8, which I think
there's a lot of them that are great cars, all but for the sake of whatever rotor tips and stuff like that are just left, and he gives you good use for it. They give you,
And this is probably, if you want to cut your teeth on a kit car and you're not sure,
you ain't going to get better than the Mev.
Yeah, because it will fit together.
And what a great idea for the MX-5 to be a donor for a kit car. That's
ideal, isn't it?
Because, and people say sometimes, oh, you're turning a sports car into a sports car, and that's missing the point, kind of, although it's true, obviously. But what a great, I know you can't get a Mark 1 now cheaply like you could, but Mark 2s, Mark 3s are available cheaply, less than £1,000 I would think, certainly for Mark 2, and maybe a ratty Mark 3. And you can turn it into a very passable and usable car.
And you've got
affordably too.
The running gear, you can use all the dials, the electrics. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a great.
And the great thing about not only the Mazda MX-5, but primarily that at the moment, you get a rebate on all the parts you don't use. So you can sell your doors on almost eBay and other avenues of that nature. But seriously, you can sell doors, bonnet, boot, and you'll find buyers for them. Yeah. So you'll get a rebate towards your kit cost or build cost. And people talk about £1,000, £1,500 coming back easily.
Oh, so you almost get your donor for free.
Exactly. That's effectively what it is.
So if we wander along, maybe have a quick look at DJC Sports Cars. Now,
the blue one over there. This is a new company here.
Now, Dan here with DJC, this is quite a good example of how some of the companies are nowadays, because this is a small part of his business, isn't it? He's got a massive engineering company.
They are probably one of the finest precision engineers, certainly in the southeast of England, for sure. And I think he's the third owner of this project that's always had promise, with a 3-seat configuration and Subaru donor.
Yeah.
But he's the first person to really, all due respect to the others, to have got it right, really right.
And this is really top end. And the other interesting thing with this is, it's got the McLaren F1 style seating, so you've got central driving position.
Absolutely, 3 seats there, look at that. Yeah. And there's nothing like that. I mean, unless you've got a McLaren F1 parked in your garage and you know what that's all about, that is just something special. It's something right about that, because it feels like you're sitting in a single seater, and if you've got your passengers, you suddenly go to change gear and you've got the bloke's foot next to you or something. But you get used to it, and it's just a real pure form of driving.
It's so well. These are, like all the cars here. I know Dan spends an awful lot of time getting his sort of engineering bit, and he's always playing with it, isn't he?
You see, he goes to the extremes of he'll machine parts like that. He doesn't have to, But because of the precision shop he's got, he can do that.
Yeah.
And he does it because he can't help himself. But this one, I think, it's got 500 horsepower, but they don't have to have. You know, you can buy a pretty basic Subaru donor with 200 horsepower, and it'll still be great fun. And it's just makes real sense, I think.
Yeah, and it's a really good-looking car. And it's,
brilliant.
Where else can you buy something like that?
And of course, I like the turquoise because it matches my shirt.
Right, now behind you, Steve, we've got Crendon.
Yeah.
Now, Crendon is a long-established name, but Anthony, that runs this business, has also been around quite some time.
Yeah, there's an interesting story there. Crendon is a great mark, founded by a guy called John Kerr, or he liked it pronounced Carr, but Kerr, who sadly passed away a year or so ago. A real perfectionist. I mean, he wouldn't have any other way. I mean, customers had to buy a Ford FE 427 engine, otherwise you weren't allowed to buy one. He also, if he used to make, well, it wasn't a joke, if you said, oh, can I put a Chevy in there? He'd door.
Oh,
he
right.
He might, but he was a lovely guy. Very, as I say, very particular about, and look at the quality of the car. This is an electric one, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's...
I believe the first commercially available electric Cobra replica or style car, and it works. Brilliant. But so Anthony took over the company in 2018, but he was vetted and interviewed, I think, because he said when he was sort of looking to sell the company, because he was becoming a little bit infirm. He said, I want to sell the company, but I just don't want to sell it to anybody.
Yeah, no, I'm going to say that.
And Anthony traded, and still does to a certain extent, as absolute horsepower. And has probably built 150 AKs. He's built an example of every Cobra there is. And so therefore he's perfectly placed to build a good car. And John obviously approved.
He got the rubber stamp.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I saw just a few weeks ago a car that Anthony had built, which was a Pilgrim, and an old
fantastic.
Pilgrim. And the finish on it
Oh,
was, because Pilgrims, again, back in the day, some of them could be better than others.
Yeah, for sure, because it was a different, that's where we were then.
It was.
And Pilgrim gave someone that maybe couldn't afford a V8 or didn't think they could a chance to use a four-cylinder.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, purists maybe frown, but this industry is what you want it to be.
But again, this had a V8 in it. It was so well, and it was on a brand new plate as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd done such a stunning job on it.
The thing about Anthony is he can build a car very quickly, but he builds a great car. Lots of people can build a car quick, but they can't build them like he can. And that's all I can say.
And that comes from the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we're wandering across here towards Quantum.
Yep.
Now, I think
an industry stalwart.
I think Rob Hancock, who owns it, he must be one of the hardest working guys.
Talking about, he's a human dynamo. I don't know how he does it.
No, I wonder as well. But
great fiberglasser as well. He's one of the best laminators in the country, and he can do it because he was making hot rod bodies. So, as he'll tell you, if you speak to him, he'd have a pile of orders on a Monday morning, and then they'll get broken. You know, he'd supply the bodies, and the cars would go off to whatever short oval track they went to. They come back in with bits broken, so he has to fix them. And he can do fiberglass quick, but he can do it really well.
Now, this replica project, which is now, this I think is the original styling, and you would think he took this on. I think he was doing the moulding already.
Yes, he was.
And he's taken this car on. It's an established design. And you would have thought he would have just carried on, but that's not Rob, is it? No. And over here we've got the
his version of
that, which is LMR 141.
And once again, it's Mazda MX-5 based.
Yep. Good
so
point.
The reasons you made earlier for the affordability and the attraction of that, and it was a MEV. Stuart Mills created that. Oh, Aston Martin did originally, but
yeah.
And this is Rob's interpretation of that car, how he saw it. So it's shorter. I think it's wider.
Yeah.
It's changed the position of the doors.
And the other interesting thing, and you talk about the recycling, I think this is a great point. He mentioned that the wheels and tyres are off a Mini One. Which, there you go. And put a spinner on those, they look absolutely spot on, don't they? Yeah. You'd think they were an expensive Dunlop steel rim or something like that.
But I like what he's done with that. I mean, I like the original because it was obviously an appeal for lots of people, but now cohesively, I think that really gives it an second identity almost.
It's funny
different car.
If you look at that car standalone, it looks fine. But then when you put the two together, you can see what he's actually done with
right.
it.
Absolutely.
Right, we'll take a wander. Where should we go? Let's stop off at MK and then we'll carry on that way.
Let's do that.
Now, MK, another name that's been around, what, 25 years? I know it's now under different ownership.
Yes, I was talking to Martin Keenan, the founder of the company, only last week. 25 years. 25 years. Been through the Keenan family, various members. Since Martin went back to doing grass trackers and tube bending, which is what he's a quality welder. And these guys, Stuart and Neil, took it over 5 years ago, and have done and just developed what they already had, which is a great project.
And again, this grew out of the low cost book.
Exactly that. That's exactly what it was.
And that's when I think I remember reading the report, and there might have been something that you wrote, that there was something like 85 manufacturers of low-cost chassis.
29, I think, but yes, it's a lot. And at that time, there was room for all of them.
Yeah.
The market's changed, now it's constricted, but once again, you've got the legend of the MX-5 sitting under that bonnet, but they also do various Ford ones, I think, and
another Honda engine.
Engine one, bike engine as well, still get bike engine for those. But the Indy's always been a great car, kit car. It's now taken on a new dimension with these guys in charge of it. And they've also got their kit spares, Kit Car Parts Direct, or Kit Parts Direct, that's kit spares, that's Robin Hood.
Yeah, no. But the Indy thing, it's nothing to do with Indianapolis. It's like it's got independent rear suspension.
That's exactly where it was.
The original low-cost car was a live axle, whereas this was very much a development.
Martin's a great guy, Martin Keenan. Loads of time, he's a national treasure, I reckon. But he's a good down-to-earth Yorkshire lad, and he thought, well, Indy will do, because it describes what it is at the back end. But a really good car.
And again, a very good entry-level.
Absolutely.
Build for the first time.
Absolutely, and I wish they'd do. In 2007, I drove an Indy with an electric motor in it. One of the best cars I've ever driven. I just wish they'd go back to put that back in production, or put it, but they haven't. So you need to ask them why, really.
Right. Well, if we head down this way, we can do a quick pit stop because there's a very good magazine stand here.
You can ask me questions about that.
Yeah, just give us a quick, for people watching.
Yeah.
TKC.
Well, it started from totalkitcar.com, which is online, still going, and I will sort of promote the fact that in 24 years of the website, I haven't missed 1 week of Friday updates. So
Steve says
I'm quite proud of that. And then we bought we went retrograde really. We bought the magazine version out after it, and that's 21 years old now, and we cover the best of the kit car industry really, as well as archive stuff, because people like to read about the old stuff.
Yeah.
We've got a fantastic photo archive, so we try and use it as much as we can.
And you do
bi-monthly,
You also do stuff on track day cars and on custom cars.
Track kit and custom is kind of another name for it. Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Right, shall we do DAX?
Yep.
Sorry, Joe. So DAX is a name, again, that's one of these that's been around for a long time, but now actually owned by a chap in Belgium, but built in the UK.
Yes, I believe so. John's based in Belgium, John Cox. He was an agent for DAX for many years. The Rush primarily, I think, but he knows the mark inside out. And when DAX sold, they were looking for a buyer, he stepped into the fray. And great mark, really. He's developed the Daytona version, or Daytona style version, we should say.
Which is, for those not aware, that's an evolution of the original Cobra design to make it more...
Sure, we wanted something to go quicker and be more competitive at Le Mans.
Yeah, for the racing side of it.
More streamlined as well and cut the air better than a Cobra.
And for those that V8 is not enough, I noticed there's a Viper engine V10 in there.
Yeah. So once again, it shows you adaptability. You can have what you want in most cases.
It's the old adage, speed costs, how fast can you afford to go?
Well, exactly, right.
Right.
But in longevity terms, one of the oldest established manufacturers, and probably nearing 4,000 sales.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive. Okay, now, a recent success story, I would say, for a company that's been around a while, Westfield originally came from being built as replicas of Caterham 7s, and then they had to, following a little bit of legal chit-chat, shall we say.
Yeah, Caterham took them to the cleaners, really.
Yeah, they came out with a slightly different design.
In 1983, I think, 84, that shape, which is definitively and can only be a Westfield.
And which...
Still looks fresh.
I agree, and the other great thing I think about it is in a market where the Caterham-inspired designs are all going to be very similar. That Westfield design, with the what you call them, flutes down the side and so on. As you say, it's a Westfield.
Absolutely,
you can only take all the badges off.
Distinctively so. Like a Caterham is a Caterham. A Westfield is only a Westfield. They got slightly overshadowed in recent years by the fact that they bought the Chesil mark. So you've got Porsche Speedster. I guess we'll walk down and look at that in a second. But they kind of come out. I don't know if they're doing it this weekend. I've not spoken to them yet, but there's talk of new engines for the traditional Westfield style car. I don't know what that will be, but certainly electrification is on the cards for that.
Ah, okay.
And that model's been overshadowed really because of the Chesil Speedster and the success of that.
And I wonder, we'll come back to the Tipo.
Yeah.
But the Chesil very much. It was interesting. When we went down and did the factory visit, was very much how they were moving on to new chassis, because for people that are not aware, the Speedster was sort of effectively
rebody Beetle.
Rebody Beetle.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, everyone will carry on, having a kit. But there's 2 points. One, exactly what we were saying earlier, that people want stuff that drives more modern, but looks like this, and that's why they've come up with their own chassis underneath. But also, it's given the opportunity to go EV. Absolutely
right. Oh, definitely so, and they've done very well with that already. The Chesil, of course, is probably people that don't really know about kit cars. There's certain cars like a Caterham 7, and any Speedster will be. Is it a Chesil?
Yeah.
It's kind of any Speedster type, any replica will be called. Is it a Chesil? But that is a Chesil.
That is, and with modern underpinnings, what a great car.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that car, that model, the Westfield 11, has been dead 3 times, but by public demand they bring it back.
Yeah, and that's very
exquisite. Look at it.
And that was very much the voice I heard that Westfield had when they sort of came back a couple of years ago. Was people wanted this car. Is it still midget based?
Can be, but they're looking at alternatives now as well for that, because midgets are getting quite hard to find and expensive and sought after. Electrification is definite for that. I've driven an electric one, it's fantastic. Where you're sort of popping along with 30 horsepower, with an electric one, you're not. Very much so.
Well, just have a quick look at the Tipo. Now, people who've been on the internet and so on, YouTube, will probably, with the bodywork, would have recognised this car in relation to Anstead that he built a one-off to start with, and now it's in production. And again,
fantastic MX-5. And if you want a 30 style F1 style or Grand Prix racer, bosh, there it is.
And this is not just for the track. You can put it, with the right kit, you can put this on the road as well.
Absolutely right. Oh yeah, they do, and they have been. Yeah, definitely so. And this is a beautiful thing.
And there's a great video, I don't know if you've seen it, of the assembly of it.
I haven't, no. I've heard that. Someone told me about that the other day.
It's just like, okay, let's be honest, we know that the stuff doesn't come out from under your MX-5 looking quite like that, does it?
No, not really. But you can recognise a lot of MX-5 parts in there.
Yeah, but
maybe not the exhaust, but
once you've given it a coat of paint, it's brilliant. And
therein is the appeal of the MX-5 as a kit car donor.
Yeah.
And that's not massively expensive, that car either. I don't know what the prices are at the moment, but I remember last year, very affordable, very affordable.
And it's just something, no mainstream manufacturer would ever produce something like that you could put
and
on the road.
If they did, it'd be a couple of million quid.
Yeah. Maybe we're missing the trick there. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Right, we'll wander along towards Great British Sports Cars. Now, maybe it's me, but I always think of these as being a relatively recent manufacturer, but they're not. This is it's probably 18 years since Richard Hall took this over.
Yeah.
And what an amazing product.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and they do so much of it in-house as well.
Oh, if I had a hat, I'd take it off to them. It's a fantastic job they've done. They kind of came out of the ashes of Robin Hood.
Yep.
They wanted to maintain the customer levels that mark had, and the sort of appeal of that mark. but they wanted to raise the profile of the product as well, and they've done that with spades. I mean, look at that car; it's just fantastic.
Yeah,
It's absolutely fantastic, and that's not a one-off car they built especially for the show. I've seen so many customer-built Zeros that are, and Richard's a genius. I mean, I don't know if he's officially classed as a genius, but I would say he's a genius because he's always developing that car. It's probably on about 17th chassis now, because you look at it and think, well, there's nothing wrong with that, but then he'll tweak it a bit further.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, it's in Gen 3 form now, perhaps, which they're talking about.
Again, you can have it with the MX-5, can't you, and various Ford options and so on. So, but again, what you mentioned there earlier about how all these guys are constantly developing these bits of kit.
And the thing about Great British Sports Cars is that Richard wanted, certainly for his upmarket cars or higher profile cars, wanted a better damper. So he created his own, as you do.
Of course.
And created a brand, so ATR, dampers, throttle bodies they make in-house, and also brake components, which that's not an everyday thing you can just suddenly conjure up unless you really are into what you're doing.
And you know what you're doing as well.
Exactly.
Well, we'll head to the left here, and we've got... Now, this is someone that does allow me to call them a legend.
Yeah, definitely.
And
definitely. And it's really great to see him here because he's suffered from real bad health, ill health this year. Yeah. He's an industry legend if ever there was one. He's a great guy.
So this is Hawk Cars, owned and run by Jerry Hawkridge.
Yeah.
Now, where we've sort of touched on, everywhere else is sort of developing cars for more modern underpinnings. Jerry is your man to go to if you want originality.
Belongs in the box marked Crendon. Purity. If the car was like that in 1963, that's how it's going to be. Regulations allowing. Well, that's what it's going to be for now. Same with his Stratos replica. He's built that since 1981, probably. So,
See you later.
Cheers. Right. So he's been building that since 1981. As Transformer when he was still a school teacher. He was a school teacher and did it, I guess, maybe a bit of a side hustle.
Yeah.
And because people said they liked it, we end up with Hawk Cars.
And I think the one he had here last year, which was actually a steel centre tub.
Oh yeah.
Because everyone thinks, it's fiberglass. But it had a steel centre tub and a Dino engine in it.
If he hadn't had his illness this year, that probably would have been here in completely full this year. He had a very nasty fall. He wouldn't be talking about it. But he had a very nasty fall in the workshop and was in hospital for a good number of weeks. He was very ill.
And onto this Cobra here.
Look at it.
Now, people's perception of the Cobra is with the big wide arches and so on, but this is genuinely where it started.
The 289, they call it the 289 primarily because of the 289 CI engine.
Yeah.
It was more like the original AC was.
Yes.
It was Shelby that pumped the arches up and put the big banger V8 in it.
And originality, if you want it how it looked back in the day, that's how it looks, isn't it?
Jerry's your man.
Yeah.
And Jerry, again, won't sell a car to someone he doesn't think could build one. And that's meant in the best possible way. He's very protective about his mark. And it's interesting that because of that, and the way he quality controls it, you won't find a bad one. You will never find a badly built Hawk. You'll never find a badly built Hawk Stratos. Quality breeds quality, I think.
And again,
encourages quality.
And that touches on the build that we've touched on is that if you want one of these, but you don't think you can do it, but they will build it for you.
They'll build it for you any stage you want.
Yeah.
And everyone in this hall probably is, I would expect so, has got a helpline. So you're and also instantly on the computer now. So a technical hotline where you phone up and they'll guide you through something.
And that's a great thing, the internet, build groups and that kind of thing. I know there's ones for, I think, the majority of cars in here.
Yes, mate. So, there is. Yeah,
and so if you're stuck, someone will help you out.
And the good thing is, of course, I mean, I'm still a stickler. Well, I'm still a traditionalist for the one mark car club, but the way things are moving on, you've now got multi-mark clubs, and that's a great thing because someone will have a Cobra, and he'll know if you've got a Cobra you're building, they'll be able to help you and lend you tools and come around your house and help you.
I'm very much a fan of the multi-mark because I think that's the future. Apart from maybe the Westfields and so on, because they've got the numbers.
Oh, they're massive. That Westfield Sports Car Club are legends in their own right.
But for the majority, it's that way.
Definitely.
But so last, but very, very much not least, AK.
Another
And again,
mark that grew out of a back garden business.
and
My
been
guys-
around some time, almost as long as you.
More that,
Mid-80s.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the AK comes from Alan and Ken, two friends who wanted to build a Cobra. Looked round at the time as what was available, thought they could do better, built their own one each. And people inevitably, is inevitable in this game, you could sell a few of them. So they started from the Ken's back garden. I think Alan moved on to or stayed with his original proper career. And Ken's sons sort of graduated to take the company over. And now it's John and his wife Wendy. And they've got a really big, state-of-the-art for our industry unit in Peterborough, on the outskirts of Peterborough. It's a proper car making facility. So if you go to an American manufacturer like Factory 5, it's on a par with that, I would say. And the cars are great. You'll never find a bad one of these.
No, and
Every time I've seen the best one, there's another one comes.
And the other thing with these is it's been so much sort of constant development because it's been under that same ownership for so long.
Yeah.
That, you know, again, it's one of these, I imagine, if you wanted one, I know they'll have a waiting list, but their ability to put them together must be pretty impressive.
Oh, they can do it beautifully. If someone says they can build you one within 3 months, now you're looking at 1 to 2 years for a fully built car from all these. And let's not beat about the bush. A V8 engine is not going to come cheap.
No.
Paint is a commodity that has gone one way.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to allow your budget. And the days of a manufacturer telling you can do it in a weekend, sir, and it'll cost you $5,000. And you did have people telling people that, and then sort of 500 hours later, and all this money down the drain, the bloke's saying, what do I do? Now these people are realistic, because they've got to be, and they're all good people, and they'll tell you, if you say I want to build one with a leather interior, side pipes, and a big banger V8 Chevy 383 or something, stroker, they're not going to tell you 10 grand, they're going to tell you how it's going to be, and that's the way it should be.
And again, these two cars here, I think good comparison. Just look at the engine bay. You've got a traditional, you've got a distributor, you've got
iron block Chevy.
Iron block Chevy, and then you've got LS3 Corvette engine.
Don't get much better than that.
Yeah.
But they cost more than that. Oh, well, I don't know now, but with that, you're going to get 30 miles to the gallon, because it's fuel injected.
Yep.
And it's a state-of-the-art motor car. It'll start in the morning. It'll do everything you want it to do.
Right. We've got one more. We're actually ending up right where we started, aren't we? With the
new model's
GT40.
not actually here. They've got a D-Type. They're just finishing off. But that's come. I thought they might be here, but it's not. They obviously haven't got it finished yet. But this was, for all intents and purposes, this stand is their latest model.
Yeah. Which is the
AK40.
with an established design or kit from Southern Performance.
Southern GT.
Southern GT.
Yep.
And they've had it 2 or 3 years now, I think, haven't they?
Yep.
And again, such an iconic shape, but again, and they put the Coyote engine in it.
Nick Solis at Southern GT is a great guy, a real hard-working guy, knows how to build a great car. Not, all due respect to Mick, was never really in it to sell volumes. AK obviously thought they got something there they can sell in numbers, and have just made it more productionised in terms of the way they market their AK-47 kit. Done the same thing with that, and so now it's easier to build. Not it was hard, but it was easier to build for a novice.
Yes, and that is the expectation now for whatever you're buying, whether it's furniture from IKEA or a kit car. People expect it to go together first time, and let's be honest,
wasn't always the case.
Yeah, I was going to say 25, 30 years ago.
I mean, I still laugh about the roads and the goings on, but it wasn't funny. In this day and age, it's not funny. You know, in hard, straightened times, people want value for their money, and they're going to get it with all these cars in this hall. You know, you're going to get that. You're going to get value for money. You're going to get a car that you're going to be proud of, and you're going to get help to build it. If you can't, and there's nothing like seeing the reaction of a guy that's just built, or a lady indeed, that's built a car, and the first time, because I talk to these manufacturers all the time, and I ask them what's the best thing, and they say the look on the people's face when they come to pick it up, or they built it and they bring it back for a final check, and it's like the old the footballer scores a goal for the club, he's going to leave next week. I built that, it's pride, you know, and they take pride in it. It's just and they say that's the best satisfaction they get from the job.
Yeah, I can believe it. You know, I've done it myself, cars I've built.
Yeah,
that
and
first drive
exactly.
is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly that. And you know, It's a great industry. If you've not done it yet, come and do it. It's great.
Well, I can't really add much to that. All I want to do is thank Steve for the time he's given us.
My pleasure.
It's been absolutely fantastic. You've given an insight that I never could. And so the show here is on every year, first weekend in June. So if you want to come and see what's sort of around and about and available, please do come and have a look. And in the meantime, if you've enjoyed that video, please consider giving us even a subscribe.
nationalkitcarshow.co.uk, I think, and he's got the dates for the next 5 years on there.
There we go.
There you go.